The Lord be with you. The beginning of the Holy Gospel according to John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of people. A light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came for testimony, to bear witness to the light, that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but came to bear witness to the light. The true light that enlightens everyone was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, yet the world knew him not. He came to his own home, and his own people received him not. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, full of grace and truth. We have beheld his glory, glory as of the only begotten Son from the Father. John bore witness to him and cried, "This was he of whom I said, 'He who comes after me ranks before me, for he was before me.' And from his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. For the law was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, the only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, has made him known." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Although I have been in South Africa for over 30 years, I still can't get used to Christmas in the summertime. Where I grew up in the north of Ireland, Christmas was always very dark, sometimes raining. That is, it rains every day, but sometimes during the day. And sometimes snow, white Christmas. So when I came out here and I got to the idea, it was Christmas right in the middle of the summer holidays. The sun was shining brightly from early morning, and it was very, very hot. So it was all wrong. And even the liturgy, you get the feeling that a lot of the liturgy was written in the northern hemisphere, because it talks about winter, the winter of sin and all this kind of stuff. But of course, for us, it's a different experience. But there are some words and realities which, irrespective of the climate, are permanent, kind of archetypes, kind of ideas, but realities as well, which affect everybody. And the ones that come out so vividly in today's gospel are darkness and light. And these terms are used in the gospel and used in our spiritual tradition with great effect, because darkness does evoke the shadow of death, closing one's eyes on the world for good. It evokes destruction, and sometimes also it evokes depression, psychological condition, and despair. So darkness is a symbol of many things that are difficult, things that go wrong in our world. Indeed, even it's easy to associate darkness with sin, something you hide, something you don't want to bring out in the open. And on the other hand, light is associated with life, with growth, with flowers and trees, and of course in the human context with love, with knowledge, insight, with truth, beauty, and all that is good and wholesome. And these are used by St. John in his Gospel to enormous effect to help us see what God is doing for us in Jesus, transferring us from the kingdom of darkness to the kingdom of light. And he does this in the most incredible way, the most astounding way, the most surprising way, by becoming human among us. The Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. Flesh, blood, bones, humanity. The infinite God who transcends all our thoughts, way beyond what we can imagine, is also a God who is so close to us and who has taken human form, lived among us as a tiny, helpless child, newborn baby, beyond us and within us. And so our whole Christian life is focused on Jesus, God with us, in the flesh. And it's because it's flesh, his flesh, that flesh becomes part of the history of God. And this is at the heart of why, when we try to walk in the light, we have to be alert to one another, other human beings. It is our humanity that God has embraced. And so it is a fantastic mystery, fantastic act on the part of God. One which we find hard to sustain, thinking about it, so beyond us, and yet it's so simple. Our founder, St. Alphonsus, used to say that God has made himself small to win the love of all. God has made himself small to win our hearts. Because God knows that we cannot resist the innocence and beauty of a little child. That we are drawn to the helplessness that even God can share. And so it is with great joy that we celebrate Christmas. Even though we are conflicted and troubled and in the middle of a plague, this reality and this truth remains because God remains love incarnate for us today.